Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So it's been quite a lot of time since I posted my previous video about uh, everything that went on when before I signed up for the CFA program, and yeah, a lot of things have changed. Yeah, I'm in a new location, and today I'm going to give you a little bit of my journey towards the CFA Level 1. And of course there may be a few more videos because of course the level 2 and level 3 also had its own specific journey in order for me to get this baby right here. This is just a replica, but yeah, you'll get a bigger size version on your doorstep, but this is just a replica that the CFA Society usually grants you to the CFA Society at the local place where you will register. I'm just doing this out of at the back of my head, on top of my head rather, and I would like you to introduce you to the journey that I've been through, and also yeah, to give you some sort of an idea of what you are about you should expect once you signed up for it. So I remember that it was on September 7th, yeah, I think 2018, that I registered for the May 2019, sorry, June 2019 level 1 exam at the time. So basically, I dedicated about 9 months of preparation. And I remember that at the time, what I did was I established just a daily routine for me, basically, because I was working full time as well. What I did was getting up really early, about 5 o'clock, half past 5 a.m. In the morning, and basically put in 1 or 2 hours study before setting out to go to work. And then once I came back from work, I just basically had a 9 to 5 job. Yeah, it was basically doing another session about 3 or 4 hours up until 10, 11 o'clock in the evening, and then going to bed and repeat it all over again the next day. And so I went into this pattern day in and day out. And I remember that even on the weekends, I did basically the same thing, basically studying all the time or most of the time. And I remember that at the time, yeah, there were quite a few weekends in which I had to say to my girlfriend at the time, who I was living with, that yeah, she wanted to go out, of course, as usual, because of course people want to have some me time and us time, just to get away from the routine of the weekdays. And I remember that at the time, most of the time I just tell baby I can't, because I need to stay at home and study. And I remember that I went a little bit too extreme on this, because it was pretty much every weekend all the same. I was locked down at home studying, and because of that, yeah, she also stayed with me the whole time. Yeah, and of course, with as time went by, I remember that the relationship became further and further stressed, and we were growing a little bit a little bit further and further apart. I recall that by March, yeah, in early March 2019, I recall that we spent a 3 day break in Nice, because the entire purpose for me was also to go to visit Monaco for the first time. And it, of course, it was a dream of mine, and yeah, it was a blast. But I remember that in the back of my mind, I was always thinking about, all right, this is just a 3 day break. Once you come back, you gotta get full board towards studying again. But by that time, the relationship was pretty bad, and I remember that I think it was on April 26th. It was a Friday, I believe. Uh, just out of the blue, I couldn't even expect such thing, because it never even crossed my mind that such thing would happen. But the thing is, I remember that once I get into I got home, just as soon as I opened the front door of our apartment, yeah, basically the doorstep, just the space near the door was full of suitcases, because basically she had enough, and she was moving out. She was basically breaking up with me. It was a shock. It was a very deep shock for me. I remember that over the following days and weeks, May, even in early June, yeah, it was a pretty stressful time, because you got to keep in mind that we've moved in together in April 2014. So this was about 5 years being together. And you can imagine that once you are on your own in your house, uh, Jesus, the silence, and the fact that you don't have anyone to interact with, and nobody to talk to, was very stressful. And looking back, I remember that because I began my preparation really early. Basically, I began studying with 9 months in advance. This became really key for me, because if I started later, probably in those weeks I would not be able to study as to make up for the stressful time that I've been through the month of May. And all my preparation would probably have suffered quite a lot, and subsequently my exam performance. I remember that in those during those weeks, I couldn't eat properly. Even my sleeping patterns were a little bit out of place. I lost some weight, and by the time June came around, I remember, because also this was a written exam, because this was, I think, one of the last exams in which you had to go to a particular location to do your exam. It was not at the time, pre-pandemic, there was no online solution for you to sit for the exam. And I remember that at the time I was super nervous, because the entire atmosphere that would be there for me, and it was really a stressful time. um, I recall that on the exam day, when you go to the level one, you get a lot of people in the exam day together. And I recall that some of those conversations were about mundane stuff, and I recall that a lot of candidates that I heard even were talking and bragging about how they were sitting for the exam with about 2 to 3 months of preparation. And I chuckled a little bit, because I felt, well, if these people are taking just 2 to 3 months of preparation just to sit for the exam, I would expect to do better than them, because I took longer to prepare myself. And so it ended up just doing fine. I recall at the time it was a 3 hour each section, the morning session and the afternoon section. I ended up having a score above the 90th percentile. But of course, because I put in the time very early, this was just to give you the sort of an overview of what happened to me during those times, and all the situations and the stress I've been through during those months, especially those last few months. But just to help you guys on your preparation, just to give you a brief insight of how my preparation went specifically, my study. I can tell you that the reason I also took a lot of time was because my study method is quite intensive, because I really want to make sure that I take as much time as possible to prepare myself and to ace the exam, basically, to make sure that there is no two ways, there is no possibility of failing. And what I do basically is that I go through the entire curriculum. By the way, I did not use any prep providers, and so I just used the CFA curriculum. And I remember that what I did was basically I went through the entire curriculum, all right, and just wrote a summary of the entire curriculum. And of course, as you can imagine, those are 6 books, and each one has on average 400-500 pages. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff, a lot of ground to cover. And so yeah, I remember that I wrote 3 or 4 full-sized notebooks on an A4 size, just a summary, just for you to get a brief overview of the entire curriculum. All right. And once I did this and I get this overview, for me, then this takes about 4 or 5 months, more or less. My next step is just to drop that away, put that aside, just use it as a reference, and then delve into doing all the practice questions that you can get your hands on. Of course, as I was finishing the summary of every chapter and every reading, not chapters, those are readings and topics, but at the end of every reading, I did the end of chapter or end of reading questions, the ones on the blue ribbon. I did those as I went along, but then it was all about doing the practice questions in the CFA Institute ecosystem, and just doing those over and over and over and over again. I remember that for level 1, it was about what, 2,000, 3,000 questions. I can't recall very clearly at this point, but I remember that it was just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Probably I did all of those exercises about 5 to 6 times over. So if you account for repetitions, I did probably 15,000, 10 to 15,000 practice questions. You get to a point in which it becomes second nature to you to answer those questions, all right? And I remember that by a certain point, you already know the answer. As soon as you begin reading the question, and you don't even have to finish reading the question, you already know the answer. This becomes so natural to you, so second nature, that your exam performance will be great regardless, all right? And so because you have to keep in mind those practice questions, because they are a lot, they basically cover everything. So there are no questions in which you have sort of decoys that can mislead you. You don't get that. Some people may think, oh, there may be some questions with a lot of decoys and a lot of nonsense and things that just to make the unprepared candidates to slip up. Guys, it's not the case. The questions are complex, but if you study well, there is no way you will get misled by the question. And so, as soon as you get that preparation in, you will do just fine. And for you to keep in mind that if you get this sort of preparation, it's of course you will not get 100% on the exam, because there are many questions that you can do the CFA Institute can create based on the curriculum, but you they will not be able to create questions that you will not have covered already during your preparation. So most, if not almost all of the questions that will be at the exam, you would have already covered if you did this sort of preparation, and you will recall that completely once you sit for the exam and try to answer those questions. And so I remember that basically the exam was pretty much smooth sailing at the time, because it was in a hotel, a conference room. You had 3 hours for each section. I think I finished each section with about half an hour or 20 minutes to spare, so it was more than enough time for me to review all of the questions. All right, once or twice, at least once, and basically just wait for the time to finish. Of course, if you now that you do it online, you can just submit your answers before the time is up, but you'll get to a point in which you cannot you will not fail. You can't fail, because you will basically know everything. And this is also very helpful for you to recall the formulas, because the formulas, there are a lot of formulas for you to remember and memorize. Because you are doing those exercises over and over and over again, it becomes to a point that the formula becomes second nature, becomes absolutely second nature. All right, you will memorize it just in the blink of an eye. So, guys, you don't need to worry. Of course, this takes a lot of time, and I totally understand that a lot of people may have family commitments. People are married, they have kids, a lot of things going on in your life. I know that, but and of course you don't need that much preparation for you just to pass. But if you want to make sure that you ace not only the exam, but you really understand the topics, this require a great deal of preparation. And so this is important for you to really get to grips with the topics being discussed. And so for me, I think it is really necessary, because I really wanted to make sure that I aced the exam, and so that's why I took this sort of preparation. I went really deep. Of course, I paid a price in terms of my personal life, but yeah, it was my decision. I don't recommend anyone else to do that, but you also have to know yourself and know the study method that works best for you. All right, I'm not sure if you can hear some noises outside, but just forget about it. But that basically, that's just it. I will be doing another video for the level 2 and another one for level 3. So guys, stay tuned. If you have any questions, please just leave me a comment. I will answer to you in due time. And of course, guys, wish you all the best. I know that the CFA program now is going through some changes. So yeah, but nonetheless, these insights that I just gave you should be very helpful for you to your journey. And of course, guys, I'm going through this again, but to show you this as a motivation factor for you to get one of these babies here. This, yeah, and so this is something that you will carry on with great pride. And that is all for this video. I appreciate it, and thank you so much, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye bye.